She's thinking about you right now, and you didn't even try. While other men are flooding her phone with desperate paragraphs, buying her gifts, performing like trained animals, begging for scraps of validation, you did something far more dangerous. You barely acknowledged she existed. You looked past her like she was furniture, like she was scenery, utterly unremarkable. And somehow that's exactly why she can't get you out of her head. Strange, isn't it? The man who gives her nothing occupies more space in her mind than the man who gives her everything. You didn't chase. You didn't compliment. You didn't orbit. You acted like she didn't exist, and now she's addicted. Let me show you why this works. Because once you understand the mechanism, you'll see that her obsession isn't random. It's not luck. It's psychology. Dark, predictable, and brutally effective. Picture the last time you were in a room with her. Every other guy shifted when she walked in. Eyes followed. Conversations paused. Energy bent toward her like she was the sun and they were planets with no choice but to orbit. But you didn't flinch. You stayed locked in your conversation. Maybe you glanced for a fraction of a second, the same way you'd notice anyone entering a space, and then you returned to whatever you were doing. No double take, no energy shift, no validation. And right there, in that single moment of indifference, you created a crack in her reality. Because she's used to being the center. She's used to men competing for her attention, validating her existence, proving she's worth their effort. But you just shattered that script without saying a word. Now she's sitting there, disturbed, not angry, not hurt, disturbed, because a quiet voice is whispering in the back of her mind. Why didn't he notice me? That question is the trap, and she just walked into it. Here's what's happening in her brain. Your indifference doesn't register as he's not interested. Her mind twists it into something else entirely. It tells her, he must see something I don't. He must have options I can't see. He must be operating on a level above me. She starts projecting hidden value onto you. Your disinterest becomes proof of higher standards. Your silence becomes evidence of abundance. Your lack of effort becomes a signal of power. Think about it like this. You're walking through a market where every vendor is screaming at you, begging you to buy, shoving products in your face. Everything's on sale, everything's desperate. But then you pass one stall. The guy's leaning back, not shouting, not waving, no signs, no prices. Just quiet confidence. Which one pulls your attention? Not the desperate ones. The quiet one, because scarcity signals value, and silence demands attention more than noise ever could. But here's where it gets darker. Your indifference doesn't just make her curious, it wounds something deeper. Her ego. She's used to being the prize, the one men fight over, the one who has the power to choose. But you just flipped the script, and now she doesn't feel powerful. She feels rejected by your silence. And rejection, even the silent kind, cuts deeper than any compliment could ever heal. So what does her brain do? It scrambles to restore balance. It needs to put her back on the throne she thinks she fell from. And how does she do that? By chasing you, by trying to make you notice her, by working to earn what every other man gave her for free. That's the paradox. The man who offers nothing creates the strongest pull because you gave her what no one else dares to give. Doubt. Doubt about her power. Doubt about her effect on men. Doubt about whether she's enough. And once that seed of doubt is planted, she can't ignore it. It grows. It whispers. It obsesses. Here's the rule you need to understand. The less you prove yourself, the more she needs to prove herself to you. You become the man she can't stop thinking about because you're the only man who didn't react. But this is just the surface, because what's really happening goes 3 layers deeper. There are 3 dark mechanisms at play, 3 addiction triggers working beneath her awareness, pulling her toward you like gravity. Let me break them down for you. And at the end, I'll show you the deepest layer, the hidden force that makes all 3 triggers so devastatingly effective. Trigger 1. The unpredictability trap. Here's what most men don't understand. The most addictive thing you can give a woman isn't love. It's not attention. It's not even chemistry. It's uncertainty. When you're consistent, always available, always texting back, always present, you think you're building trust. You think you're showing her you're reliable. But what you're actually doing is killing the attraction. Because consistency equals predictability, and predictability is the death of desire. Now let me show you the opposite. One day, you're engaged. You're present. You're giving her your attention, making her laugh, making her feel seen. She's getting the version of you that's warm, playful, alive. Then the next day, you're gone. She texts you. Nothing. Hours pass. Maybe a full day. Her mind starts racing. Did I say something wrong? Is he busy? Is he seeing someone else? Did I misread this? And just when the doubt peaks, just when she's about to write you off completely, you reappear. Casual, unbothered, like nothing happened. You're charming again, present again, giving her just enough to make her forget the silence. This rhythm, this back and forth pattern, is what hooks her. Psychologists call it intermittent reinforcement, and it's the exact mechanism that keeps gamblers destroying their lives at slot machines. If a slot machine paid out every time, no one would get addicted. The reward is guaranteed, so there's no tension. If it never paid out, people would walk away. But when it sometimes rewards and sometimes punishes, and you never know which is coming, you can't stop pulling the lever. That's exactly what's happening with you. She's not addicted to you. She's addicted to the pattern of your attention. The man who always compliments her, invisible, background noise. But you rarely compliment her. And then suddenly, at the perfect moment, you drop one line, one observation, one piece of attention that feels earned. That single compliment from you hits harder than 100 from other men, because your silence built the tension, and your sudden warmth released it. That cycle of tension and release rewires her brain like a drug. Here's the brutal truth. When you ignore her, she feels restless. When you notice her, she feels euphoric. When you pull away, she feels panic. When you return, she feels relief. This isn't attraction anymore. This is addiction. Her brain starts treating every interaction with you like a high-stakes gamble. Every text feels like she's betting on a jackpot. Every moment of your attention feels like winning. And every silence feels like losing, which only makes her want to play again. But here's the key. Rejection doesn't break the cycle. It strengthens it. Just like a gambler who loses keeps playing, convinced the next spin will pay out. She keeps chasing you, convinced the next interaction will finally give her what she's craving. This is why she obsesses over you and forgets the men who are steady. Consistency feels safe but boring. Unpredictability feels dangerous but alive. That's the power of the unpredictability trap. It doesn't just attract her, it enslaves her. Trigger 2. The power flip. Most men chase women. It's the script they've been taught. He approaches, he pursues, he invests. He tries to impress her. He proves his worth. He fights for her time. And women, they're used to it. It's expected, normal, boring. But then she meets you, and you don't chase. You don't prove anything. You don't orbit her world like every other guy. You act like your life is already complete and she's just passing through it. Suddenly, the script flips. The roles reverse. And when the roles reverse, the power shifts. She's no longer the prize being pursued. You are. She's no longer the one choosing. She's the one trying to be chosen. And the moment she starts chasing, the moment she feels herself pursuing you, her brain does something fascinating. It justifies the effort. Here's the psychology. Human beings don't value what comes easy. We value what we have to fight for. When she's forced into the chasing role, her mind rationalizes. If I'm putting in this much effort, he must be worth it. The act of pursuing you changes her perception of your value, even if you haven't done anything objectively special. Even if logically she knows you're just another guy. Her effort convinces her you're different. Think of it like this. If you hand a kid a toy, they'll play with it for an hour and forget it exists. But if that same kid has to beg, save up, work for weeks to earn that toy, they'll guard it like treasure. The effort invested rewired their perception of its worth. That's what happens when you stop chasing her. Her effort becomes her investment. And the more she invests, the harder it becomes to walk away, because walking away would mean admitting the effort was wasted. Here's the darker layer. Once the roles reverse, the addiction accelerates. Because now she's not just curious about you. She's emotionally locked into proving herself to you. And when someone invests emotionally, they don't quit easily. They double down. They justify harder. They stay longer. This is why she'll leave the man who gives her the world and obsess over you, the man who gives her scraps. Because with him, she was sitting back being chosen. With you, she's actively fighting to be chosen. The act of fighting makes her believe the prize is worth it. That's the power of the flip. It traps her in her own effort. Once she's chasing, she's already caught. Trigger 3. The ego fracture. Every woman walks around with an invisible crown on her head. It's the crown of being desired. She's used to men wanting her, complimenting her, validating her existence. Every time a man does this, he feeds her ego. She feels powerful, above him, in control. Now here's where the psychology gets vicious. What happens when you don't feed that ego? What happens when you look at her and don't react? When she expects validation and you give nothing? It doesn't just surprise her. It fractures something, not her heart, her ego. This is the ego fracture. By refusing to validate her the way every other man does, you create a wound in her self-image, a wound she can't ignore. Her mind starts screaming questions. Why doesn't he want me? What's wrong with me? What does he see that makes me not enough? Suddenly, the woman who felt untouchable feels vulnerable. And instead of walking away from that feeling, she moves toward it. She tries to fix it. Here's why. People chase what threatens their identity. If she believes she's irresistible, and you're the one man who resists her, you become the exception that haunts her. Your indifference stops being neutral. It becomes a challenge to her entire sense of self. So what does she do? She tries harder around you. She positions herself in your line of sight. She laughs louder at your jokes. She dresses better when she knows you'll be there. She does everything she can to make you notice, to earn the validation you quietly denied. And the more effort she puts in, the more addicted she becomes. Because now it's not even about you, it's about her. She needs you to validate her so she can feel whole again. Think about it this way. If 10 people applaud you and one person stays silent, who haunts you? Not the 10, the one who didn't clap. That silence screams louder than all the applause. That's the power of the ego fracture. It turns you into an obsession. And here's the darkest part. Once her ego is fractured, logic can't save her. Even if she tells herself you're not her type, even if she says she doesn't care, her actions betray her. She keeps thinking about you. She keeps circling back. Because deep down, she needs to heal that fracture. She needs you to finally see her the way everyone else does. This is why she'll ignore 100 men who worship her and obsess over you, the one man who acts like she doesn't exist. Your silence cuts sharper than all their praise. Your indifference weighs heavier than all their love. That's the ego fracture. It doesn't just attract her, it enslaves her pride. And once pride is trapped, her emotions follow. The deepest layer, the aura of untouchable power. Now let me show you what's really happening beneath all 3 triggers. Because when you act like she's nothing, you're not just being indifferent, you're projecting something far more powerful. Untouchable value. Think about it. Who holds real power in any room? The man begging for approval or the man who doesn't need anyone to validate him? Always the second. When you act indifferent, you're not broadcasting emptiness. You're broadcasting abundance. You're silently saying, I'm already full. I don't need you. I'm complete without your attention. And that message cuts deeper than any words could. Because when you refuse to prove yourself, you prove yourself. When you don't try to show value, you radiate it. She looks at you and her mind races. If he's this calm, this unmoved by me, what does he have that I can't see? Who else is in his life? What makes him so certain of himself? That's the deepest layer. You're not seen as having nothing. You're seen as having everything, hidden just below the surface. She doesn't feel like she rejected you. She feels like you rejected her first, without saying a single word. And that flips everything. Now she's not chasing your attention. She's chasing the power she senses in you. The power to choose, the power to walk away, the power to be whole without needing her. This is why you, the man who doesn't try, outshine the man who tries desperately. Your silence isn't weakness, it's dominance. Your calm isn't emptiness, it's authority. And once she senses that power, silent, unshaken, untouchable, she doesn't just feel attracted. She feels pulled into your gravity. That's the aura of untouchable power. It's why acting like she's nothing makes you unforgettable. You're not doing less. You're radiating more by withholding. The less you give, the more she feels. So here's the truth. She's not addicted because you're actually nothing. She's addicted because your indifference creates a puzzle her mind can't solve. The moment you withhold attention, her brain registers it as a gap, and the human mind hates gaps. It hates unfinished stories. It hates questions without answers. So she keeps replaying your interactions, reanalyzing your words, obsessing not over what you gave her, but over what you didn't. Your indifference sparks curiosity. Curiosity builds tension. Tension turns into obsession, and obsession becomes addiction. It's not the compliments, the texts, or the effort that lock her in. It's the mystery, the silence, the unpredictable nothing that feels like it's hiding something. While other men destroy attraction by giving too much too soon, you create the strongest pull by giving almost nothing. Your absence feels louder than their presence. Your indifference weighs heavier than their praise. Your silence screams more than their words ever could. That's the brutal reality. The man who doesn't chase becomes the one she chases. The man who doesn't prove himself becomes the one she needs to prove herself to. And the man who acts like she's nothing becomes everything she can't stop thinking about. You didn't try, and that's exactly why she can't let you go. Don't chase. Be chased.